This is KETV Channel 7. At 5 o'clock, it's NewsWatch 7 with Carol Schrader, Michael Scott, sports with John Knicely, and weather with Chief Meteorologist Jim Flowers.
Feel a little under the weather after work? Well, you may be able to blame the building you work in.
It seems inadequate ventilation can lead to sick building syndrome, and many blame smokers. But Health Watch reporter Margaret Bumann says at least one expert points to other factors.
That's right, Michael. The expert is a certified industrial hygienist by the name of Jack Peterson. It's important to note that Peterson's visit here is sponsored by the Tobacco Institute. He represents an interesting but controversial argument about smoking and indoor air pollution. Dr. Jack Peterson has a list of credentials a mile long, so we thought we'd have him check out the Channel 7 ventilation system and give us a few pointers.
For whatever reason, we get areas that are not filtered. And when we get air that doesn't go through the filters, we've got dirty air.
Like many modern buildings, our system could use a little revamping. And even though we've implemented a smoking ban, Peterson says it's not a cure for indoor air pollution.
No, in fact, it's a minor source of indoor air pollution. At least it's a minor source of problems in indoor air. The biggest problem is not enough or inadequate ventilation.
That may well be true, but Clarkson pulmonologist Dr. Marvin Stahl says calling smoking a minor source of indoor air pollution is like not calling the kettle black. Dr. Stahl says at least 13 worldwide studies on tobacco smoke have come to the same conclusion.
There is a risk to the passive smoker, those people who inhale the smoke from somebody else, associated with an increased risk to their health, and estimates of increased lung cancer incidence of 5,000 to 10,000 deaths per year associated with that passive smoking.
I've read just about all the studies that have been produced, and I'm not convinced that there are any serious health effects of environmental tobacco smoke.
It's a controversial viewpoint, to say the least. Dr. Stahl says there are many other pollutants besides tobacco smoke, but it gets the most attention because it's the most visible and best known source.
I think that we should not allow indoor pollution of any type, and the most easily controlled would be that of cigarette smoke.
Now, Jack Peterson does bring up a good point that without adequate ventilation, you'll never cure sick building syndrome. He says if companies would install adequate ventilation systems, they could quickly revamp the cost by cutting down on absenteeism.
You talked about smoking studies. Does a child who lives in a home with smokers, is he more likely to get sick?
You betcha. Respiratory illnesses, sore throats, ear infections, all that stuff has been proved in the studies. So a lot of controversy, but passive smoking does seem to affect people.
I'm surprised your hygienist didn't shut us down here for the ventilation.